In this episode, with my dad, yes, my dad, you will learn how to make the most out of every living moment. You'll learn also how to reach out and connect with just about anyone. And you'll learn the value of changing tribes. Yes, I said tribes. What the heck does that mean? And how do we do it? Well, stay tuned and find out.
The Life I Deserve, sharing creative ideas, inspirational stories, and fresh perspectives that will empower you to live your life to the fullest.
Hi, I'm Jack Canfield, and you're listening to The Life I Deserve by my good friend, Adrian McMillian.
Hi there, this is Adrian McMillian, and this is The Goal Show, brought to you by The Life I Deserve, and I am honored today to have as my guest my dad. My dad is a graduate of University of Houston with a bachelor's in business administration. He was married for 48 years, father of 5, grandfather of 8, great-grandfather of 3, owner of 2 houses and 5 acres of land in beautiful, sunny San Leon, Texas, near Galveston, Texas. Hey, Pop. How are you?
Oh, just fine.
So I'm honored to have you on the program today. Where did you grow up? Tell us about your childhood a little bit. What was that like?
My childhood, I remember our address over on Sunset Boulevard in Southampton area of Houston, 1714 Sunset Boulevard. And it was a duplex that my dad had purchased in about 1940 or 41. And actually, as it turned out, my dad was able to get that at a very, very good price. Should I tell him the price or what?
It's up to you.
Okay. I think the price was approximately about $9,000, and it was a time that money was short, and we had gone through our country had gone through the Depression in 1929. The stock market went down to, I guess, nothing or something like this. Of course, now it's at 2,000 points, 20,000 points or above. And so it was just a sad time as everything. And people were having a hard time. My dad was an employee of Southern Pacific Railroad where he worked for 37 and a half years. And he was electrical foreman at the T&O shops there in Houston, Texas. He had a chance to buy this house that was going to be foreclosed on. And it was a duplex, a beautiful brick duplex in a pretty friendly color of kind of a yellow orange brick, and tall and big building and everything like this, and a very prestigious street and a prestigious subdivision, Southampton. And so he was able to get it for $9,000. I just thought that was just terrific.
So I would love for my audience to get to know your perspective on goals. That's one of the things we like to focus on in this show. For me, growing up, I discovered goal setting, I think a little bit as a teenager, then really learned a lot more about it in my 20s. But I'm just wondering, from the time you grew up in, was goals ever mentioned? Was goals ever talked about? If so, how was it talked about?
Well, everybody should have goals in every part of your life. If you don't aim high, then you really won't hit your goal. And so you have to be positive about your life, and be having adventure in your life and in your thoughts. So you try to be very positive, and if you feel good about yourself, it comes through your eyes and in the way that you relate to other people.
When you were growing up, when is the first time do you remember when anything was mentioned about goals or about how to create goals or you should have goals. Was that something that you heard in grade school or high school or college? What was your experience on that?
Well, in grade school, even I think it was like in the first, second. Well, I guess it's probably in the second or third grade. Well, at St. Anne's, they had this class, and it was called Expression School, and it taught us kids to use expression in our speaking and everything. Just and so ideals about it, and the idea of the positive thinking about it, to use good expression, use a lot. Really get involved with things and show your heart, show what's going on in your mind too.
I love that, Dad. And you are the perfect person to be speaking to that and speaking about kind of living and communicating in a way that delivers a lot of happiness and positive energy. Because I don't think I've ever seen anybody in my life light up people the way you do. You genuinely care about people, and you, regardless how unfriendly the person may seem or look, you do make that effort to ask them how they're doing, ask them how their day is going, and and a lot of times I see people just who I never would think would kind of come out of their shell, but they do. We were just at, so we stopped by the little candy shop earlier, a little chocolate shop, and the person there at first didn't seem very talkative at all. But of course, you're so warm and welcoming, and you actually had that person talking about all kinds of childhood memories and growing
Sure
up,
do.
and it's very inspirational. And you played a big part in my desire to do that to people, because I grew up seeing you do that, and every time we get to spend time together, I see you do it more, and it inspires me even further.
Oh wow, what a compliment this has been. I mean, this is a really, really fine compliment from your son to be receiving things like this, receiving gifts of his pleasure at seeing you deal with other people and seeing you being optimistic. And it's been that way all week long as Adrian has been taking me to these different places. Like one time we went to Kroger there and we had a funny conversation, with this cashier there, and she, I told her that, just teasing. She said, "Wow, y'all look like brothers." I said, "Yeah, and I'm the younger brother." Yeah, isn't that something? And anyway, of course, she knew that I wasn't the younger one. But we have had an adventure every day that I have been here. We start out early in the morning. I go over there and get the coffee and the newspaper, and then we're coming back, and then we go eat our breakfast, and then we go exercise. And sometimes we do things in a different order than that, but every day has been an adventure.
Yeah, and I love how quickly you adapt, Pop. It really is impressing me. I got you an iPad, and you are learning how to use it, and you're now creating stations on Pandora, listening to all kinds of different stations, calling people through FaceTime, and now learning Spanish through your iPad.
Oh yeah,
Very impressive.
right. And I've been meet people too, because through that computer, it's an very fine Apple uh, iPad type tablet, and I've gone through the course of instruction at the Dickinson Library, and the class starts over again in February, and I plan to be in it on February the 1st. And so, where I'll learn even more about computers.
Not just learning how to use computers, learning how to take apart and assemble computers.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
Wow, very impressive. Very impressive. And I would love to kind of go back a little bit because you actually have accomplished a lot. You've gone to some different universities, studied many different things, and I would love to hear about that journey a little bit and how you may have set one goal or another goal and kind of what your plan was. And of course, it's just natural going through life to kind of shift gears. We start going toward one goal. Maybe we decide that's not quite what we want. We actually shift that path a little bit. But I would love to hear about anything that you have to share along that journey.
Well, just like Will Rogers and everything, he was raised. He started out life in a Indian village, and his parents were Indians. And well, going to different schools is like being in a different tribe. And in the case of me going to three different colleges, it was really like three tribes because the first tribe I was in at Texas A&M in the Corps of Cadets, and that was really really fun, and doing all the silly things that the sophomores would have us do, like wipe off a bus with shaving cream, which goes kind of like this: you hit your head with the shaving cream, and then you pull it down your face. Oh yeah, those sophomores made us do a lot of silly things, and I was always in trouble with those sophomores because I would get them back any way I could. One time I caused two of them to be locked out of their dorm room by the way that I had fixed the doors in a certain way that the closet doors would block the main door from opening up, and then they'd have to go into the window.
Hmm.
Luckily, I picked two boys that were on the ground floor. I didn't have to climb in through the second floor. But anyway, I fixed them. Of course, they gave me a rough time the rest of the year. And then the next tribe was at University of Texas, where everything I was really, by this time I was a junior because I had successfully completed the 2 years at A&M. And so at the University of Texas, I was in the Orange Wings drill team and everything. This for a while, and then I was having trouble with my coordination and so I got out of that. But then I joined the let's see, University of Texas Men's Glee Club, and I thought that was a lot of fun. We'd meet a couple of evenings during the week and practice our singing, and we sang the songs from oh, West Side Story, the songs from South Pacific, and oh, really, and sometimes there would be songs in other languages too. Like some of the songs from South Pacific were in two languages. So anyway, that was really funny, really really fun. We sang songs like Ballet High and what was it? Bloody Mary was always chewing beetle nuts. It's on this and the tavern, Maury's Tavern, as Baba Black Sheep. And then another song that we sang was The Streets of Laredo, which is a very, very sad, slow song that really portrays the old Western days. And see, all of this was like being, at that time, that was my second tribe I was in. And also, while we at the University of Texas, we took a singing tour of Mexico and went from Laredo and then Nuevo Laredo and then Saltillo and then Chapulca, and somewhere like that, and then Mexico City.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Chipoka?
yeah,
There's actually
I
one
think
called
we were
Chipoka.
all on the school bus or something like this, and just we really had a good time.
Wow, I love how you
Mhm.
just adapt to these different tribes. You really do have a knack for connecting with people and for connecting with people who seem to be much different than you at times. Like you always find a way to connect. Do you have any advice on how people can connect more with other people?
We'll another just be kind of relaxed, and where it shows in your face that you're relaxed, and you look them right in the eye, and you show them that their interest, that you're very interested in them, and if you can, say to yourself, don't, I love you, and so on like this, and they somehow they pick up on this. They pick up on what you're saying.
You're saying that you're
What
just kind of beaming that
no,
kind of energy.
no, that you're what you're thinking, I should say,
Right.
and so on. So this is the way that has worked for me in sales and in in life, and so that's then after I left the University of Texas, I came on back that summer there. I went back to work for the railroad again. I've been working every summer for the railroad. And the first summer I was a roadway machine operator, and the second year I was a caller for the firemen and engineers. When I came back on that third summer, they sent me way back to Alpine, Texas, and living in a railroad car. It was a railroad bunk car. And when we get to a place, sometimes we wouldn't have water for a couple of days, and we'd have to use bottled water or whatever we could find water. But then later on, they would give us uh, we'd have electricity, and we would have mosquito netting and so on like this that we sleep under, and we would. I think maybe even we had telephone sometimes, but living in those bunk cars and everything. So anyway, was operating a machine called a cribber, and this thing dug the gravel out between the tires, and so the the, the kind of like a blade, or like you see on a water wheel, and it would pull that gravel out and allow the tie to show more, the condition of the tie and make the mounting holes show better and everything. Anyway, I got hit by a stone and it broke my glasses, and I had to go have my head checked here because I had received a bump on the head. So I went to Southern Pacific Hospital with my dad, and we were sitting there, and then a man came in and sat down there by Dad and was telling him, "Hey, did you know that they're hiring firemen now? Now, a fireman sits on the engine, uh, locomotive engine, at a seat right across from the driver of the train, so to speak, uh, and he is like the co-pilot. The fireman is.
What kind of challenges can you tell us about and how you dealt with those that might be helpful for people to kind of learn from?
I think automatically in our systems, we all have a way that we adjust and adapt for whatever conditions come about in our life.
Hmm.
And so, anyway, you just still have to have a positive attitude, no matter how tragic the news is, how tragic the event is, or you're being laid off from something. But I was able to go to the University of Houston for my it ended up to be, I guess, about a year and a half after that, before I got my degree, my college degree.
So that was after the railroad.
Uh, well, it was
Yes.
kind of during the
During the
railroad,
railroad.
because it was my thinking that, look here, I've got this good job, and this job pays a mature adult's wage and everything. They paid a good wage to
Hmm.
be a fireman or an engineer on the Southern Pacific Railroad. So I felt honored to have this good job and go into the University of Houston. And also, I was able to study on the job on different coffee breaks and everything, just instead of just taking my full 30 minutes or whatever time we had for a break or a lunch or something like this, well, then I would go study my books a little bit.
Great. And so I think if following along with your story earlier, this would be your third tribe, the University of Houston. That was
Yeah,
your
third
tribe.
college I was in, yeah.
And then tell us how that was kind of a tribe and maybe different than the other schools.
Well, it was kind of fun being at home and being back there with my parents and everything, this and with my sisters and brothers and everything. It was just really a lot of fun. And also, I had a Ford convertible at that time, and it was azure blue when I bought it, and then I had it. Then I had to paint it black and had a red and white interior, and I added a Continental kit to it, and spinners and everything. It was really nice to be back at home. And I also was in a church group called the Young Catholic Young Adult Club, and the club that I was in was the Rosarian Club, and I got elected to be president of that club.
So yeah, besides the different schools, you tried out many different industries, many different types of work, which I imagine probably even more so than a school was even probably a bigger difference in this like tribe sort of sense, because it's not just different people and a different culture, but a completely different type of mission or type of work that you're actually doing for all these different companies.
Yeah, it is. It's. I don't know. I think this teaches you to adapt and to adapt quickly, to your new conditions.
That's a great lesson. We have to constantly adapt. The world is always changing, and I think it's that the rate at which it changes is speeding up. And so it's so
Very,
so
very
much
much
more
so.
important to adapt and to know that that is a successful personality trait is to
Oh yeah.
be able to adapt. The people that are really getting ahead in life are the people that are able to adapt quickly.
Yeah, the first job I got out of college was with the United States Steel as a traffic clerk, and I'd actually made less than I was working for the railroad, but without a degree and everything. Yeah, that was kind of something that I kind of expected that this would happen. That as I went into the first stages of the business world and everything, they said I'd probably be making less working in business than I was with working in the railroad. But see, my situation with the railroad ended because they took off the fireman off the engine. They into the well, they call it the anti-feather bedding act. Like we had really
Anti-feather
such a good job that it was like a feather bed.
bedding.
So anyway, so that's the way they judge that.
And so you tried the steel industry for a while, and what was that like?
Well, that was interesting, but and then later on, I went into to insurance. Well, first real estate, and then insurance sales. Everything in my life has been kind of amusing, kind of fun. Like in the insurance business, at first I had a big old long red and white Lincoln, and then I got it painted. Then I got it painted, the whole thing painted, and it was all red. So that was kind of fun because I started on the insurance debit where I collected and sold insurance both. Well, anyway, I met your mother, I think, those years after, while I was in the insurance business and real estate. And I think even on top of that, I had the morning Houston Post route too. So I had three jobs. So I met my wife, Glenda, and I met her at we had both been in this club called Bachelors and Bells, and they left in the they met in the village, kind of over there by University Bicycle Shop, if you're familiar with that area. And at first, they were meeting there by that bicycle shop across the street from there, and then they moved over to Sharpstown Country Club. So I went there the first time to to Sharpstown Country Club, and that's where I met Glenda. Now she was a really, really beautiful blonde with green eyes, and I asked her to dance with me. And in dancing with her, well, then I said, well, I'm 25. How old are you? You know, it sounds kind of abrupt and everything, and they just but I try to use it softer words than that. But he said, "Well, I'm 23." And I thought to myself, I said, "Oh, just the perfect combination." And that she was pretty and slender and really could dance very well. Just beautiful. Had green eyes, blonde hair, just perfect size, perfect weight. And so Glenn and I got married after about 2 months of knowing one another. And she told me, "Well, I want to be married by Christmas." So we decided to get married on December the 8th because it was a holy day and we both had to go to church anyway. And also, it fit in with the insurance business because I could get off I'll be ready to go on Thursday. So we got married on Thursday evening, and we went to I think it's Monterey. Monterey is where it was. And we had dinner there, and the mariachis would play the music and everything like this, and it's so sweet, and you tip them a little bit for doing that, and it's just a very good dinner. I actually had, in many ways, a perfect marriage because Glenn and I were married for approximately 48 and a half years, and we had 5 children, and they're all beautiful and all very talented, just like Adrian is here.
Thank you, Pop. That's a beautiful. It's a beautiful story and how you met, and really, I feel that, like I mentioned earlier, my my desire to connect with people and make them happy, make them fulfilled. I feel like that really comes from you, and I feel like also like my desire to learn so much also comes from you because you have always been reading and studying, and it's always been impressive. Growing up, you always knew, okay, well, about this vitamin or this supplement or about this going on or this type of business. You always had advice. And I really appreciate that. And it's been very inspiring. So I feel like, you complimenting me on being talented, I feel like a lot of that stems from, it was inspired by you always studying things. And it just, I feel I feel at home when I'm studying things and I'm learning things, and I think
Oh,
it comes
wow.
from you.
That makes me feel terrific. It's humbling to hear that praise. That it's such good expression of thankfulness and gratitude for. He's saying that I raised him, did a good job of raising him. I like that.
So yeah, speaking of raising, yeah, how was it to raise 5 kids?
It was basically fun, but I found out that if you have a carload of kids, you got to be a very good listener, and you got to really learn out the children's personalities, because some children are overt and some children are covert, and so a lot of times with the 2 younger boys, I hate to tell you all this, but I guess I'll uh, apologize to David later on. But sometimes he would taunt Matt, and Matt would get mad because he's kind of an overt type person, and he'd be slugging Dave and everything, and he would be the one caught. And David would have started the trouble,
I
Yeah.
think, I think it's typical when brothers are close in age. Um, I feel
It
like,
is.
yeah, I feel like I was sometimes trying to, you know, or a lot of us other
Uh-huh.
kids were a lot of times trying to kind of diffuse the
Uh-huh.
situation. But yeah,
So sometimes a mother or dad has to really listen to the kids and find out the plot of the story that's going on, and how the interchange is going back and forth, and who's doing what. It's just like as an adult, you have to see who's causing the trouble. So there's because before you become critical about doing something about it. Sometimes I'd be going places with my dad and his brothers and everything like this, and they would be wanting to sleep late, and I might be out of the motel room in the back there looking at the lake nearby or something like this, and you know, throwing uh, those flat stones into the water and seeing them bounce, and everything, having some fun and kind of waiting for the adults to get on up and join me.
I feel like your appreciation is not just for people. I feel that you just take in wherever we go, you take it in and you see all of the 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 greatness about it. We just went to the park across the street from here, and and that was a fun adventure.
Oh,
You
it
liked
was,
that, and
yes,
you
yes.
just appreciated every little thing about it, and you also appreciated how you saw different things going on. There was some filming going on, and there was different people, different
There's
personalities.
extras there.
And you know what I love about you and mom both is we always were aware about people around us who are less fortunate, and you both. It didn't matter if we barely had any money. If it looked like somebody around us was less fortunate, you would help them out. You would give them money or blankets or whatever you can, and that has been amazing. Just both of you have given so much and continue to.
Well, there was an older lady that lived there on the other side of 146 in San Leon, and her name, she had a funny sounding name, Ms. McGillicuddy or something like this. But anyway, we even took my mother over to see her, and also at Christmas time, we decorated a Christmas tree, balls and all, and decorations and all, and took it over to her house and set it up in her living room because she wouldn't do that for just herself. But we were glad, and also my mother. I think we took my mother along with us, and my mother would trim the lady's hair every time we went over there.
Very nice. I remember mom one time mentioning that a friend of hers didn't have enough money for medicine, and I quickly just sent money and said, "Well, give this to her," which I didn't really feel it was anything. I didn't really did feel like that was a big deal. But I remember mom. I think you and mom both going on about that, about how grateful you were that I did that,
Uh-huh.
and I feel like it was because being inspired by both of you and how giving you were that it just felt natural. It just felt natural to do that, and and it actually inspires me to want to create more success so I can help you more and whoever else I can help.
Well, I remember one period of time there in between Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, we had been given some turkeys, and so we found out that somebody had a fire or something, and so we at an apartment complex near us. So we took one or two turkeys over there. And I think we found at least two people that had been affected by that fire, and so they accepted those two turkeys from us, and it seemed like we got some more, and we found some more apartments over there by Ziegler's, anything that's back row apartments there where different people had. Well, I think Glenda called the police department, and she found out to go back there, and that there was a lady that was raising three children or something by herself as a femicide, and so we gave her some Christmas money and turkeys.
There's nothing like helping someone else to make you feel better about yourself. It's easy.
Very true.
It's easy for any of us to feel down or to feel that we have some sort of challenge, some sort of situation, and feel sorry for ourselves. If we find somebody less fortunate, help them, all those feelings seem to dissipate.
Oh yeah.
And you just feel love, and you just feel happy, and you feel like you're serving a purpose.
Right. But whenever I go into a store, a lot of times I find, a greeting card is that feels like the way that I feel about so and so friend, And so I would get the card, and this and the occasion would come up, and I'd be ready with my card to give them that and a gift. Yeah. And I always would be shopping more than just for myself, but shopping for them. And I've always thought that people that just only thought of themselves, I think they must be me people. Me. Yes. And I was determined I was not going to be a me.
You certainly are not, Father.
Yeah.
You certainly are not. And it has been a pleasure to have you on the show today and to be able to share everything that you mean to me, everything that you've meant to my life and continue to mean to my life. I'm so happy that not just we get to talk about it, but that we get to share this with other people so they can learn from you. And also maybe this will inspire people to take the extra time to spend with their dad or to spend with their son and to really appreciate all that they have from that relationship.
Well, this is the beautiful thing about being in the retirement status now, older and hopefully wiser, and able to be with my children at a time like this where you're not worried about business or anything like this. You're just worried about having a good time with your child, that you feel so good in their presence, and the child a lot of times feels good in patronizing and praising and fulfilling the missing gaps of the parents' life, How they help us have really good meals and everything like this, and really watch out for us, make us watch out about our health, and make us exercise and eat right and everything, and criticize us when we're not doing right.
Not criticize,
Yeah.
but encourage, because I want the best for you.
Oh, thank you.
And I know you want the best for me.
Yeah. Well, you are the best.
Oh, you're the best, Bob. On that note, I think we're going to wrap this up. Thank you, everyone, for listening or watching. And I hope this show has inspired you to reach out. If you have a son, reach out to your son. If you have your dad around, reach out and make the most out of every minute. I love you, Pop.
Love you too, son.
Can I have a hug?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Take care and have an amazing day. Love you all. Bye-bye. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. My dad has had a lot of adventures in his life, and the theme throughout these adventures is that he took action. He listened to the feedback that he received, he made adjustments, and then he took action again. This is how we move forward in life. This is how we get things done, and this is how we eventually achieve the life we deserve. I want to help you to do the same. So I'm going to provide you with a free gift. Just go to thelifeideserve.com/action for a free guide on how you can take action to achieve your goals. Again, thelifeideserve.com/action.
Thanks for listening. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to live a passionate, fulfilling life. Subscribe so we can take this journey together. A journey of sharing, learning, and growing. A journey to the life you deserve.